My husband and I have been married for 4 years. We were never rich, lived in a studio apartment, and always had to choose one bill not to pay. He worked part-time as a substitute teacher and did odd jobs in the summer, while I worked as a receptionist for a big company. On the weekends, and sometimes part of the week, he'd leave to visit his grandparents to help them with their home care. I hated it when he left. It seemed as if his periods away grew longer and longer. But I didn't say anything because I knew how much his grandparents needed the help. Still, I missed him. Then, one day I got a check in the mail for $750,000. My jaw nearly hit the floor as I read the attached letter offering condolences to my husband for his late wife. At first, I thought it was a joke or clerical mistake. They'd written to the wrong man with my husband's name. But when I called him to tell him what happened, he didn't laugh and stayed silent for a long time. Then, he finally said, "Why did you open my mail?" I was shocked. He'd never sounded so serious. I told him it was a mistake. I was just opening mail. I read the name of the deceased wife, which wasn't my name, and told him it must have been a mix-up, and that I'd simply return the letter in the morning. "No," he said, "don't do anything until I get back." He wasn't due back for another 3 days. You can imagine my surprise when I saw him walking through the door the next morning. Without greeting me, he asked, "Where's the check?" I told him I left it on the kitchen table, and watched as he didn't relax until he had it in his hands. "What's going on?" I demanded. "I have something to tell you," he said. "The woman on here was my wife. We were married years ago when we were young, too young. Her parents protested, they called, and harassed us daily, got me fired from my job, and even bribed our landlord to evict us, and we decided to call it quits. But we never got divorced. I hadn't heard from her in years, but last year, she called me out of the blue, and told me she was terminally ill. She'd cut her parents off completely after our separation, and she was on her own. She wanted to see me, and so that's what I've been doing this whole time. Visiting her, getting her to her treatments, and picking up her medication. As a thank you to me, she left me in her will. I had to go out there to oversee her burial, and the paperwork for the money. I stood there gaping at him, trying my best to process what he just told me. "The whole time we were married, you were already married," I shrieked, bursting into tears. "It's not like that. I had no hope of getting back together with her. It's just something that fell between the cracks. It doesn't matter," he said. I couldn't stop crying. "But we're not married. All these years," I said. "But now I can afford to give you the wedding of your dreams," he said. "How convenient now that your wife is dead." I cried. "You're overreacting. You didn't know her like I did. We were just good friends and it paid off." He opened his coat pocket and pulled out a diamond ring. "Marry me for real, let's start over," he said. I couldn't answer, and so he just put the ring on my finger